Shalom. Before I begin, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Ruach Double honors to my teachers, the head apostles, and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well and that teach well, and also Shalom and salutations to the fellow brethren and fellow laborers that are laboring in this work as well. So this lesson that I'm going to be getting into today is going to be basically about how, this truth is an investment, it's an investment because it's not globally, the treasures of this truth are not globally known. The whole earth as a whole, they don't truly understand the magnitude of the riches that this truth has to offer, the future, because what they see now is that you just have a bunch of men out there wearing dresses, looking like fools for no reason. That's the world's perception of this truth. But, or madman, even Noah, they most likely had the same perception of Noah. This guy's crazy. It never rained. But Noah was invested into the truth early on, and that's the case with the men of Yahweh Bashimashai. No matter what hour you came into the truth, it's the Spirit of the Lord had it where you came in before all hell completely broke loose, man. You came in at the right time, so to speak. But this truth is an investment that cannot be understood by the world, but only by men. Only the men that the Lord Yahweh Bashimashai has put his spirit on, man. You see, because to the world is foolish. But that's actually what's pleasing in the sight of Yahweh Bashimashai, to be a fool, that you could, that you can be made wise. That's actually a precept, and I'm gonna get a couple precepts basically proving that this first and foremost that this truth is an investment that's gonna hit the ladder. Bro, I can't even put it into words, but this truth is gonna skyrocket. The investment that was made, that you put into this truth, it's going to hit, the bullseye. So this is the book of Ecclesiasticus chapter 22. And I'm going to start at verse 23. It says, "Be faithful to thy neighbor in his poverty, that thou mayest rejoice in his prosperity. Abide steadfastly unto him in the time of his trouble, that thou mayest be heir with him in his heritage. For a mean estate is not always to be condemned, nor the rich that is foolish to be had in admiration." So this precept, let's break it down, man. Let's bit by bit, let's chop it up. You see? Oh, that's even how the precept is set up. It's chopped up in portions like food. So let's read this again. Ecclesiasticus 22 and verse 23, and it reads, "Be faithful to thy neighbor in his poverty." And who would be, our neighbor, if we're looking at this precept out of spiritual sense, man, with spiritual lenses? You see, our neighbor will be Yahushai. And that word neighbor can translate to someone near to you or a friend. And did not Yahushai make the claim that we are his friends? Why? Because he basically told us. Matter of fact, let's get the precept. This is John 15 and verse 14, and it reads, "Ye are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you." So you're a friend of Yahushai if you do whatever he tells you to do. And what Yahushai has laid out for us to do, his command, is in the Bible, man. From the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, to the New Testament. Those are all the words of Yahushai. That's what he left behind as a command to his friends. Which would be the prophets, man. You see, verse 15, it says, "Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth. But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you." You see? So this is really specifically speaking about the elect, which we hope to be of that number. We hope to be the friends of Yahushai. Because, as we're going to read in that precept, these friends that abided with their neighbor in his poverty, meaning this path, this path, that's the poverty of Yahweh Shai, because you had to be brought low, and go through the trials and tribulations, to be refined, man. For your end product to be what? To be gold and shining. So let's read this again. It says, be faithful to thy neighbor in his poverty, meaning stay faithful to Yahweh Shai, in this low estate now that we're in. Because the Lord even understands that we're poverty, but he says we're rich in spirit. So it says, be faithful to thy neighbor in his poverty, that thou mayest rejoice in his prosperity. So this even goes in the world, In the world, you can look at it as well as you starting from the bottom, And now 0 to 100, man. You got to start somewhere in order to reach a certain point. And that's the case with this truth, even investments, so on and so forth. Even, dealing with girls, man. You see, if a girl's with you from the start when you have nothing, man, you know what I mean? And she's riding, you're gonna spoil her once you're up, man, because she was there from the start. But if she wasn't, and she just popped out of nowhere once you're finally in prosperity, you know what I mean? That's not really that's fake, man. But you want something that's real, and that's the same with Yahweh Shai. He wants something that's real, and that's why we're in a low estate. That's why things don't go our way, man. So continuing on, so that's one portion, that's one part of this precept. Let's go on. It says, abide steadfast unto him in the time of his trouble, that thou mayest be heir with him in his heritage. So if you begin, if your friend is, he's at the bottom, but you're with him, you stay with him through everything, thick and thin. You know what I mean? You're with him. By default, that friend is gonna what? Once he's up, he's gonna put you on, man. And that's the case with Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is gonna put on his friends because they abided with him in that low estate, man. So, continuing on, it says, for a mean estate, it's not always to be contemned. And that word mean, I have the definition of it here in the Merriam-Webster. It says mean as a humble, because this word has many different meanings. Mean could be mean as in anger. Mean could also be meaning, like what do you mean? A question mark. Or mean as in humble, which is an old English word. But in this case, in this context will be humble. In the context of that we're reading here, it says for a mean estate is not always to be contemned. It's humble. But let's look into a couple other similar words, to get a more clear understanding of it. You see, so it says, for example, this word's oldest use comes from its etymological meaning of common or shared, from the Middle English word mene, and was initially used to mean humble or ordinary or inferior. You see, so a low estate, basically, so to speak. But let's look in this. When you look into this word, inferior, it means lower in status. You see? So when we go back to Ecclesiasticus 22 and verse 23, where it says, for a mean estate, it's not always to be contemned, meaning a low status. It's not always to be contemned, meaning scorned or laughed at or despised. You see? But, because why does it say that? Because if you, let's say, what's the best example I can give, man? Let's say, you have these different YouTube videos that a lot of people do. Like, you would have a man that's rich but poses as a poor man, you know, and you see how he's treated, you know. But then he puts on, he wipes himself off that poverty, the poor clothes, and he puts on a suit, and he's automatically treated different, you know. So you shouldn't treat a mean estate with you know, despite, if that's a word, man. You know, you shouldn't despise a mean estate. Meaning, this path that we're going through, we shouldn't despise being at the bottom. You know, because this is actually a learning stage. You know, learning how things work. You know, because when you're rich, you have a lot going on. You don't really have time to learn different things and absorb, you know, different things. You know, you don't get to taste both sides, so to speak, man. So let's read this again. For a mean estate is not always to be contemned, nor the rich that is foolish to be had in admiration. You know, and this also reminds me of Ecclesiastes 8, how it says, folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in a low place. And then it says, how that servants, you know, I've seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth, meaning everything is upside down, you know. But when it says, nor the rich that is foolish to be had in admiration, basically, the rich, if you have a rich man that's ruling, but he doesn't have wisdom to rule and orchestrate his riches, what good is that? You shouldn't admire a man. You won't admire a man like that, man. You know. But if you have a man that's poor, but he has wisdom, are you gonna condemn him? You know. You see. So, but that was basically the point, man. You know, I hope this lesson was edifying. I hope it's clear and it makes sense what I was trying to express, you know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Ashai. The fact that you gotta, you know, this early investment is gonna hit, you know. So with that, I'm gonna give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bashim Hakudash. Once again, double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of great millstone that rule well and I teach well, and shalom and salutations to the fellow brethren and laborers that are laboring in this work as well. Till next time, shalom.